Ever found yourself staring at your Newton balance, those precious Bitcoin numbers glowing on the screen, and a single thought bubbles up, okay, great, I have it here, but how do I actually use this Bitcoin in the real world? You're not alone. That moment of realization, the gap between digital asset and tangible spending power, is a common one for newcomers and even seasoned crypto enthusiasts. Think about it. You've navigated the world of exchanges, maybe even braved the volatility, and now your Bitcoin is safely nestled in your Newton account. You've achieved a significant milestone. But the journey doesn't end there, does it? Owning Bitcoin is one thing, knowing how to leverage its value is another. Perhaps you're dreaming of using your Bitcoin to pay for that new gadget, contribute to a cause you believe in, or simply convert it into Canadian dollars for everyday expenses. Whatever your goal, understanding the process of moving your Bitcoin out of Newton and into a usable form is crucial. This isn't some complicated, shrouded in mystery process, though it might feel that way initially. Think of Newton as a secure vault for your digital assets. Just like with traditional banking, you need to initiate a withdrawal to move your funds elsewhere. In the case of Bitcoin on Newton, this typically involves sending it to another Bitcoin address. Now, before we dive into the nitty-gritty, let's establish a few fundamental concepts. Bitcoin operates on a decentralized network called the blockchain. Each Bitcoin transaction is recorded on this public ledger, and these transactions are identified by unique addresses. Think of them as digital mailboxes. When you want to send Bitcoin, you need the recipient's Bitcoin address. Newton, as a cryptocurrency exchange, acts as a facilitator for buying, selling, and holding cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. It provides you with a user-friendly interface to interact with the Bitcoin network. However, Newton itself doesn't directly spend your Bitcoin at a coffee shop. It enables you to move your Bitcoin to a platform or service that does. So, the core question remains, how do you bridge that gap? How do you transform those digital satoshis on your Newton balance into something you can actually use? The answer lies in understanding the withdrawal process and the various destinations you can send your Bitcoin to. Let's break down the typical steps involved in sending Bitcoin from your Newton account. Keep in mind that while the general principles remain the same, the exact interface and button labels might slightly evolve over time as the Newton platform updates. Always refer to the latest official Newton documentation for the most up-to-date instructions. First, you'll generally need to navigate to the wallet or holdings section of your Newton account. This is where you'll see a list of the cryptocurrencies you hold, including Bitcoin. Next to your Bitcoin balance, you should find options like send, withdraw, or an icon that indicates transferring funds. Click on this option. Now, this is where the crucial information comes in, the recipient's Bitcoin address. This is a string of alphanumeric characters that acts as the destination for your Bitcoin. It's absolutely vital to ensure you have the correct Bitcoin address. Sending Bitcoin to the wrong address is often irreversible, and your funds could be lost permanently. Double-check, triple-check, and even consider using copy-paste to avoid any manual entry errors. Where do you get this recipient address? It depends on where you want to send your Bitcoin. Here are some common scenarios. Another cryptocurrency exchange. If you want to trade your Bitcoin for other cryptocurrencies or access services offered by a different exchange, you'll need to obtain your Bitcoin deposit address from that exchange. Look for a deposit, receive, or wallet section within that platform and select Bitcoin as the cryptocurrency. The exchange will then provide you with a unique Bitcoin address. A Bitcoin wallet, non-custodial for greater control over your Bitcoin and your private keys. You might choose to use a non-custodial Bitcoin wallet. These wallets can come in the form of software on your computer or phone, or even hardware devices. When you set up a non-custodial wallet, it will generate one or more Bitcoin addresses for receiving funds. A Bitcoin payment processor. Some online merchants or services utilize Bitcoin payment processors. If you're looking to make a direct purchase using Bitcoin, the merchant will typically provide you with a Bitcoin address to send the payment to during the checkout process. Once you have the correct recipient Bitcoin address, you'll need to enter it into the designated field on the Newton withdrawal screen. Next, you'll be prompted to enter the amount of Bitcoin you wish to send. Be mindful of any minimum withdrawal amounts specified by Newton and also consider any transaction fees associated with sending Bitcoin. These fees are typically network fees, paid to the Bitcoin miners to process the transaction, and sometimes a small fee charged by the exchange itself. Newton should clearly display any applicable fees before you confirm the withdrawal. Many exchanges, including Newton, implement security measures to protect your funds. You might be asked to complete a two-factor authentication, 2FA, process, such as entering a code from an authenticator app or confirming the withdrawal via email. This adds an extra layer of security to ensure that only you can authorize the transaction. After you've entered the recipient address, the amount, and completed any necessary security checks, carefully review all the details on the withdrawal confirmation screen. Ensure the address and the amount are correct before proceeding. Once you confirm the withdrawal, the transaction will be broadcast to the Bitcoin network. Now, here's an important point: Bitcoin transactions aren't instantaneous. They need to be confirmed by the network, which can take anywhere from a few minutes to an hour or more depending on network congestion and the transaction fees included. You can usually track the progress of your transaction using a transaction ID or hash that Newton will provide you with. You can paste this ID into a Bitcoin Block Explorer website to see how many confirmations your transaction has received. Once the transaction has received a sufficient number of confirmations, typically 6 is considered standard for good security, the Bitcoin will be credited to the recipient address. So, to summarize the process of receiving your Bitcoin money from Newton, meaning sending it out. Navigate to your Bitcoin balance within your Newton account. Select the send or withdraw option. Obtain the correct Bitcoin receiving address from your intended destination, another exchange, a wallet, or a merchant. Carefully enter the recipient's Bitcoin address into the withdrawal form. Specify the amount of Bitcoin you wish to send. Review any transaction fees displayed. Complete any required security checks, e.g., 2FA. Double-check all the details before confirming the withdrawal. Confirm the withdrawal. Track the transaction using the provided transaction ID on a Bitcoin Block Explorer. Wait for the transaction to be confirmed on the Bitcoin network. The Bitcoin will then be available in the recipient's Bitcoin address. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.